Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Start by Believing, a production brought to you by Citizens Against Family Violence. I'm your host, Demaris Barber, and I currently serve as the sexual assault victim advocate with Citizens Against Family Violence. So if you're just joining our show, Start by Believing is a national campaign for sexual assault awareness, which was founded by the End Violence Against Women International, which is actually located in Washington. And we are honored to start our own campaign here in our local community. So we've had the opportunity to explore the different services of Citizens Against Family Violence. We've actually met the executive director, which is Warren Rogers Jr., and we've met the Martinsville and Henry County domestic violence victim advocate, Julia Scales. So today we have the pleasure of meeting the Patrick County domestic violence and sexual assault victim advocate, Miss Sandy Dawson. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you.
So if you're with Miss Sandy, introduce yourself for us.
Okay. Again, I'm Sandy Dawson, and I'm the Patrick County victim advocate for Citizens Against Family Violence, serving victims of both domestic violence and sexual assault. I've actually been with the agency for 7 years, both in the roles here in Martinsville and Henry County, and serving in Patrick County. And am primarily working in Patrick County now.
Okay. So what type of services do you offer victims of sexual assault?
Pretty much everything that's offered here in Martinsville is also in Patrick County. We accompany victims of both domestic violence and sexual assault to the hospital if necessary, in meetings with law enforcement, court accompaniment, and then just meetings if people just need somebody to talk to.
Okay. So basically you provide a lot of support to the victim.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how often would you say are you providing these services to victims?
Well, the services are available 24/7. Anybody can call the hotline, both here in Martinsville and in the Patrick County number. But in terms of how many times I serve people, I'm in court every week with somebody that is receiving services. I've had people ask me in the past, does that really go on here? And it does, both domestic violence and sexual assault. And just because you don't hear about it specifically doesn't mean it's not happening. There's a lot of victims, and there's a lot of people who don't even tell.
What's going on? Okay. So I know you said that you were in court every week. So would you say out of your years of experience, is there a certain population or a certain demographic of people in Patrick County or that you've worked with that seem to report or that you've worked with that tell you, maybe not officially report, that they've been a victim of abuse?
More frequently, it ranges in ages. The highest numbers are probably from 18 to 35 or 40. But actually, I've had victims of all ages. I've had victims of sexual assault as children, as young as 2 and 3.
Wow.
And I've had elderly persons as victims of domestic violence and sexual assault on up into their 70s and 80s.
Wow.
So it hasn't been just one specific age group all the time. I've had victims of all ages.
That's a wide range.
It is.
Okay. So in your years of experience, and you've had a lot of experience dealing with, you were once in Martinsville and Henry County, and now you're serving in Patrick County. So you've had a lot of experience in dealing with multiple counties and providing services. What would you think are some gaps in services that you've noted for the victim?
I think that oftentimes we don't have the funding resources available to help victims with everything that they need. Lots of times people in Patrick County don't want to come to the shelter in Martinsville simply because of the traveling distance. A lot of people don't have transportation. So it makes it difficult, especially in Patrick County, because even though a lot of people don't think we have much public transportation in Martinsville and Henry County, there's even less in Patrick County.
Oh, wow.
So there's no buses, no park buses in Patrick County. There might be one cab service, but there's really not services available in terms of transportation. So if someone has lost their employment, doesn't have income, or has limited income and needs a ride, they're, relying on a lot of friends and neighbors, and sometimes don't have that available either. When we have like a sexual assault reported to us, because we don't have the forensic nurses in Patrick County available, we often have to utilize services in other hospitals. So depending on the location in Patrick County, there's been times where we went to North Carolina for forensic exams. We go to Franklin County. We've been to Martinsville before. So it just depends on the location in the county and what's easiest. I think we've also even been to Christiansburg, depending on what's closer to for the victims to arrive at for services.
Okay. So although you've noted some gaps in transportation and limited resources in Patrick County, you've also found ways to kind of overcome that barrier. Well, maybe not overcome, but try to get around it and utilize the resources that you do have access to as best as possible. Okay. Any other things that you've noted other than transportation or limited resources?
I think it's really important for our teams to work together, to know that we have advocacy services to help all survivors, victims of both domestic violence and sexual assault. And I think way too often, all of our law enforcement and court services don't utilize us enough. I think that for them to know that we're there to do the emotional hand-holding and supportive services for the victims is a tremendous help. And for them to have somebody to talk to when they're not in court or not working with law enforcement or not at the hospital, then they still have somebody to talk to. And I think we're vastly underutilized on that. I think that we could be used a lot more to help provide services and get the referrals through law enforcement and through like the hospitals. And I think we get a lot of referrals through the court system, but not as much directly from law enforcement or the hospital.
Okay. So in speaking on victims and being abused, what are your thoughts on the cycle of abuse?
Well, the cycle of abuse is actually a pattern of repeated behaviors. So a lot of people get stuck in that pattern, and they get stuck in the broader time frame, because lots of times that cycle, when it's going around, is a long time before something starts happening. And it may have only happened one time before. So there's many years before something happens again. So they don't necessarily see it as a pattern or a cycle until it starts happening more frequently. And as it starts happening more frequently, it just starts spinning out of control often. And it just sort of like a hurricane or a tornado, it starts really big and then it starts happening more frequently. So that circle gets smaller and smaller. And unfortunately, when it gets to that point, that's the most dangerous place of violence. And we hope that we can help people before they get to that point, somewhere in the process, to learn what are some different things that can be changed and what options they have before getting to the most dangerous point in that cycle.
Okay. And if someone finds themselves at that dangerous point where they have become a victim, how does the process work in Patrick County in reporting abuse?
Most everybody reports directly to law enforcement or going to the magistrate's office. We have some people that will show up at the hospital depending on the extent of their injuries. But oftentimes they're calling 911 and the sheriff's department's showing up there at the home to help out. And then some people actually go into the magistrate's office. Once that report is made, for domestic violence, then they typically will let me know so that I can be in contact with those people to help provide services. I don't go out on every single call, but I'm able to provide services and to help that person through the legal process, going to court, getting protective orders and such as that. If it's a sexual assault, when it's reported to law enforcement, then typically that's when our team starts working together and the calls are made to bring everybody in to start working with that particular victim.
Okay. So I also noted that you are part of a sexual assault response team in Patrick County. Okay, can you explain what an actual sexual assault response team is and how does that work?
Well, that's what I just kind of alluded to was our team. We have an active sexual assault response team in Patrick County. And what that means is when that report goes into law enforcement, they automatically call in an investigator. And the investigator, we have a process depending on the hours of the day. If it's in the middle of the night, it goes into dispatch on 911. And dispatch actually calls our Commonwealth attorney and calls law enforcement. And then law enforcement is making arrangements with that victim of which hospital we're going to go to for transportation to make sure that everybody can get to one place safely. Primarily we go to Franklin County more than anywhere. So the law enforcement officer is working with the victim to get them to that place. Our Commonwealth's attorney then calls me and gets me to meet them wherever, or they'll let me know that there's a call going through and which investigator I need to be in contact with. At that point, I will contact them and find out which hospital we're going to. And then I will arrive at the hospital pretty much about the same time that they arrive and be with the family, with the victim. If it's just one, if the victim is the only person there, then I'm with them through the process and giving them information and support because typically they're scared and don't know what's happening. If there's a lot of people with them, if the whole family is there or friends that are there to support them, then I'll stay with them to help them to stay calmer. But it depends on what the victim wants. If the victim wants me to be there with them, then I'll do that. If they want me to be with the family, then I can do that. Once we do that part of the process, we're usually at the hospital and they're getting their perk exam and all of the things are being done by the staff at the hospital and the forensic nurse. Typically all that information comes back. Our SART team works together to coordinate services to make sure that each victim is believed and that they are treated with the utmost respect and care through the whole process. Our Commonwealth's attorney stresses over and over and over believing our victims and proving the case. And I'll work with the victim from that point, from the initial point when it's been reported, all the way through the legal process. We work in coordination with the Victim Witness Program and the Commonwealth's attorney and law enforcement. I go with them to the meetings, to the interviews. I meet with them when they go to court, and then also any time in between if we need to do safety planning or if they need to just somebody to talk to, somebody to listen, because they may not have somebody that will actually listen to them and be objective.
Okay, wow. So it definitely shows that working as a team is essential in providing services for the victim.
Absolutely, it helps them tremendously.
Okay, good. Well, we're getting a lot of great information from Ms. Sandy Dawson, our Patrick County victim advocate from Citizens Against Family Violence. And I hope that our viewers are able to utilize this information and become more knowledgeable about the process of reporting so that you can help someone else that you know may be a victim, or you'll be able to help yourself if you find yourself in an uncomfortable situation. So we're going to take a break and we'll be back with more information, so stay tuned.
There can be miracles when you believe. When you believe. Oh, hope is free. It's hard to get.
Come see the Hitmen. Experience the supergroup whose members were Frankie Valli's legendary Four Seasons, who were the Shondells with Tommy James, the guys who toured and recorded with Carly Simon, Cat Stevens, Barry Manilow, and Jim Croce. Call now for tickets before they sell out. You don't want to miss the Hitmen.
Purchase your tickets online at harvester-music.com or call 540-GUITARS.
The road of life is full of emergencies. From bicycle accidents to car accidents, little ones and big ones. From broken fingers to broken hearts. So at Memorial Hospital, we're building the most comprehensive and efficient ER in the region, making sure you get in, get out, and get back home safe and sound. Building a stronger community, building a better ER. The Emergency Center at Memorial Hospital of Martinsville and Henry County.
Jim Mills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is proud to announce the new arrivals for 2015. Jeep lovers will be impressed with the new Jeep Renegade look and style. The all-new Dodge Challenger and Dodge Charger are redesigned with sleek lines and luxury. The new Ram Rebel offers an off-road experience. It's an exciting year to buy at Jim Mills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Visit us across from the Martinsville Speedway or visit us online at jimmillscdjr.com. Haley's Vac with over 100 models in stock, but not just vacuums. Shampooers, mops, steamers, air purifiers, infrared heaters, commercial vacs, parts, supplies, repairs on site, and backroom bargains.
The new Haley's Vac with over 100 models of vacuums in stock now. Home of the Simplicity Freedom, only 7.5 pounds, made in USA. Home of the Lamp Berger, Paris.
You're watching BTW 21, your neighborhood network, the pride of Martinsville.
Loan Specialist. Usually that's someone who fights for your signature then sells your loan to Never Never Land, never to speak with you again. At Martinsville First Savings Bank, we don't sell our loans, and we're locally owned and operated, so all decisions are made at 25 West Church Street in Uptown Martinsville. We've been serving the South Side since 1924. Proof that serving you remains our focus. For more information, call 276-638-8771 or visit martinsvillefirst.com. FDIC insured, equal housing.
Dr. David Jones, Dr. Nicole Deschamps, the Invisalign specialist, now offering state-of-the-art traditional and clear braces, offering Invisalign with no impressions. Come meet the scanner. No impressions. We scan your teeth. For an appointment, call 638-8888.
There can be miracles when you believe. When you believe. Oh, hope is free. It's hard to get.
Welcome back to Start by Believing, and I'm your host, Demaris Barber, the sexual assault victim advocate with Citizens Against Family Violence. And we've been talking with Miss Sandy Dawson, the Patrick County victim advocate from Citizens Against Family Violence. And previously during the show, we were discussing the process of reporting sexual assault and how multiple professionals come together to form a sexual assault response team to be there to provide services for the victim. So we're going to take a moment and show a video clip to provide our viewers a visual of how the START process actually works. So I would like you to note that this video is based on a sexual assault response team that's in California. And just to note that the video was made in 2007, so the statistical data that's shown throughout the video is from a few years ago, but the overall information provided is still relevant for today. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video.
That includes then the sex crimes.
We did a community needs assessment, and as a result of that assessment, we discovered that there were about 10 areas which needed a lot of work here in Tehama County. And one of those areas was domestic abuse and rape crisis.
I was a freshman in high school. I was 14 years old. I was at school on a Saturday for a football game, and the person that did this was a senior.
At least 3 or 4 reported male victim rapes in Tehama County a year. Most of them have come from the law enforcement background or from the jail, but not to imply that that cannot happen in everyday situation.
I was only 20 years old when it happened. Like an idiot, I was in jail. They told me they were going to kill me, and I believed them.
Yeah, Sarge, this is the guy that you told me about, and we had a case with him. This is the case from last week. Yeah, he's a local guy. We don't...
The victim told us that she had come across the railroad tracks and was walking across here through this parking lot. As she was walking through this parking lot, right here there's a dumpster right behind here. She was grabbed from behind and dragged somewhere over here in the grass.
Well, we've seen an increase in sex crimes since I've been here. I've been elected for about 2 years, and in that period of time we have seen an increase and several violent.
Here in Red Bluff and Tehama County, the number of sexual assaults that are reported and come to our hospital for the medical legal exam, on an average it's been about 20 a year.
Prior to putting SART together, the team approach, a sexual assault was handled in a very fractured manner. Authorities would have to be called. The officer would go through his whole investigation, list of questions. The patient would be turned over to a nurse or a physician. There would be, again, a complete examination. The end result was poor investigation and poor follow-up for the patient, poor outcome.
Hello, Carol here. Hi, Jane. Okay. Tell me what you have. How old is she? Okay, do you know about what time? Do they know? Is police department bringing her in?
As a result of our efforts, we formulated the Sexual Assault Response Team here in Tehama County. And that team is a multidisciplinary team composed of hospital personnel as well as law enforcement personnel.
Jane here, some of your help.
Hi, officer. Hi, Jane. Would you follow me back to our quiet room? Okay.
Well, the SART program is designed to be, I think, a transitional type of thing where they go through the medical examination with the victim of a sexual assault, and at the same time that they're counseling that person and helping them through the situation, they're also collecting evidence for criminal prosecution.
Now you have your rape crisis advocate here by your side, and she's here for your support. And if you have any questions that perhaps I can't answer, she's here to ask questions too as well. The interview is quite extensive and quite personal, and I want you to remember that at any time you don't feel SART is an acronym, SART, that stands for Sexual Assault Response Team. And my role is to coordinate the team, which is comprised of the sexual assault nurse examiners and the rape crisis advocates and the law enforcement personnel who respond to the care of the rape victim or sexual assault victim.
The SART team helps to restore the dignity for women or any sexual assault survivor by giving them, number one, a place where they're believed.
You're doing an excellent job. I know it seems like this is taking forever, but you're hanging there.
Number two, they have a specific place within the ER where they can come and they're treated medically, emotionally, and legally. With that, right away what happens is, as far as Rape Crisis, our philosophy is about empowerment. It's about giving back choices.
I became involved in the SART program because I was a volunteer with Rape Crisis Intervention. Went through the training several years ago. I've always been involved in mental health and counseling side of things and social.
Where we didn't have a dedicated nurse to take care of these people, they had to wait their turn, and now we have somebody who will bring them back, meet their emotional as well as physical needs, and improve patient care.
With the coming together of the team approach of sexual assault, I believe that as a group we've been able to restore the dignity, the sense of self-control of the rape survivor.
I've been involved in the sexual assault field for the last 10 years, and SART is the best thing to happen for women, where it gives them one place where they can come where their emotional, their physical, and their legal needs are met.
I see SART as really helping to restore the dignity of the victim because it allows the victim the opportunity, hopefully at one shot, to express her story, but also show her that we care as a community. We care not only as a nurse or not only as a police officer or a prosecutor or as a district attorney, but we as the community do care. That's why we've mounted this program. That's why we're there trying to make it as easy and less painful as possible.
I don't want people to blame themselves when this happens, because that's what I did, and it really held my life back. And just to get help, to talk to somebody, to use the resources that are available really helps.
We found lots of useful information from the clip, and so I would like to make sure that we say this, that if anyone is ever afraid to go to the hospital or to law enforcement, you may contact me or any other advocate at Citizens Against Family Violence, and we'll be there to go with you through the process and to help you through that. And I would like to note that our services are free and they are confidential. So some updates that we have going on in April. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and also it's Child Abuse Prevention Month. So we want to encourage our community to wear teal and blue to support, to show your support for these different causes. So Sandy, in April, are there any awareness events that's happening in Patrick County?
I actually don't have a specific event, but I kind of have an activity that I've got planned for the whole month. On our Facebook page that's called Paint Patrick County, I'm asking everybody to, and in the communities, to turn their town teal, and asking all of them to post teal ribbons or to wear teal and take pictures and send us so that we can post on Facebook. Also asking people to wear teal ribbons, but just in support of sexual assault awareness.
Okay, and I would also like to note that for Citizens Against Family on April the 9th from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. will be our Don't Look Away awareness event, and it will be at the New College Institute. We're actually partnering with Mary Kay to provide this service to our community, and it is a free event, but you must RSVP, and you can do that by contacting me at 276-403-4081, or you can find us on Facebook, and you can RSVP through our Facebook page or by sending us a message. So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Sandy, for being a guest on our show. You provided a lot of good information to our community. And so I would like to say that for immediate emergencies, dial 911, and we do have our local 24-hour crisis line at 1-877-WE-HELP-6, and that's 1-877-934-3576. And remember that today is a good day to start by believing.